Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.
Pleasure, yeah.
First thing I want to say is both of your characters ended up being my favorite characters in the entire season. Each episode that you guys were in, each scene you were in, you stole the show. So kudos to both of you, because that wasn't expecting it when I first met your characters in the first episode, but by the time we got all said and done, I was like, yep, these two are my favorite. So for both
we tried
of you,
really hard to steal the show. I mean, I know like Kurt's like kind of a big deal, but like he doesn't have to be.
but he's the character that you're assuming, like everyone knows who he is, everyone knows like his performances, but your two's performances are fantastic, and your
Oh, that's very
characters
sweet. Thank you.
have the best development, the most development in the season. So for both of you, when you first read the script for this series, were you expecting this development, or were you guys kind of expecting your characters to just be secondary plot, like emphasizing characters?
I mean, obviously like shows get, how shows get done, like very often they get written as you go. So in a way, there's only so much we really knew, but the creatives did kind of fill us in a little bit here and there when they could give us some elements of where the characters were going, because that obviously helps to build the performance as well. But they are indeed really interesting characters because they take different twists and turns, and that made it both surprising for, well, I can only speak for myself, but like surprising for me and exciting to play.
Yeah, I guess just like speaks to good writing that like it's not a massive cast, but it's a fairly big cast, and that like everybody is fully fleshed out, and that like I think it could be easily like just dismissed as like sort of just support people, but that again it's like a human story, and if that's going to work, everybody has to like have a very specific relationship to that the trauma of G-Day and stuff like that, and how they're all dealing with it. And I think they have 10 episodes to like to fill with that, and I think they've paced it out really well.
For both of you, what would you say was the most challenging scene for you to film?
Anything working with Elisa was challenging. She was no, that couldn't be a lovelier, more talented person to work with. I relished everything that we got to do together, because I'm just sort of totally enamored with that relationship that like I don't know. I always like Tim would have like such a huge crush on her. She's like, no. So it's like ends up being a sort of like brother sister thing, and that like how they're able to like complement each other, and like her strengths or his weaknesses and stuff like that. And that's why I think makes them such a good team.
They're really interesting, a kind of duo dynamic to work on. I forgot the first part of your question though. You were asking if, can you repeat it? Sorry.
Yeah. What was the most challenging scene for you to film?
Oh yeah, you were asking about the challenges. I mean, I would say, oh no, but I can't say it because I'm gonna spoil. Okay.
That's why I answered the question different.
I was gonna say, if you would like to say it, I will more than happy hold the interview until after it happens.
I mean, all I was going to say, and maybe this isn't spoiling, but to a certain element, I think that the actions element of the show are sometimes challenging to perform, because you're working with stunts, but then they're doing part of it, and then you're doing another part of it. And then there's also the visualizing of the monsters, which gets very technical. Especially when the elements are against you. We were trying to look at a monster, and then the sun was shining and all our eyes were closed, and like there's certain technical challenges like that.
Didn't you guys get a bunch of cactuses in your feet?
We had cactuses in our feet, indeed. Like because we filmed, am I spoiling? Yeah, there's a location where there's a lot of cactuses and very thin spikes, and they just got in everywhere. We came home, we were just like covered in this kind of dust cactus. Like that was physically challenging, let's say.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, for both of you, I kind of want to touch on what Joe said about the brother sister dynamic that you two created. I mean, it can be written on the paper, but if the two actors performing it don't have a relationship or chemistry, it's not going to come off on screen, and it comes off on screen. You guys, as I said in the beginning, do a fantastic job. So for both of you, how did you create that chemistry, or was it just natural?
I mean,
She's
I think
incredibly charming.
She
You
is.
know, they do, like in the castings, they actually do what they call like a chemistry test when they audition us. And so Joe and I got the opportunity to just read these scenes together. And I guess on their end, when they're casting us, they sort of figured that, you know, maybe that it that it would work. And then we met, and it so happened that we got on very well as people as well as actors. I've loved working with you so much. And, you know, and we were like texting back and forth ideas about the characters initially, because you're also not 100% sure where, like we're saying earlier, where the characters are going to go. And so we brainstormed to a certain extent, and then we sort of let the writing and our own kind of energies, I guess, and enjoyment of acting together just sort of take its course. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a chemistry read, and Elisa took a phone call during it, and I was like, "Oh, she's so cool! Like, I'd love to work with her."
Joe has been teasing me about this for so long. It's just my agent called in the middle of the audition because they thought I'd gone offline, because we did like a like
It was on Zoom
like
because
a
she was
Zoom. It was just like, oh man. Yeah, I felt very embarrassed. I actually thought that would just get me, no way I would get cast after just, you know, like sort of ruining someone's audition. But thankfully, it was okay.
Well, for my final question for both of you, if you could have a Titan as a best friend, which one would it be?
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Who else?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for speaking with me. I'm excited for everyone to see the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
likewise. Thank you so much. Great to meet you.